Hi, this is Karen at Snickerdoodle Designs. Today we're going to take a look at how to save your document history in Photoshop. Have you ever, either as a designer or a layout artist, worked on a design or a scrapbook page? You really liked the final result, but then couldn't remember how you achieved it? I know that's happened to me before. Photoshop gives us a history panel to help us in situations like this. There's a lot we can do with the history panel, but today I'd like to just focus on one thing that's really easy to do, and one thing that I think can be really helpful to all of us. And that is how to save the history state of a document. And here are just a few things you need to know to get started. Let me go ahead and just delete this. If you do not have your history panel open like I do right here, you can go to the top menu bar, go to Window and History, and if you click on that, then this panel will show up over here, and you can click on this tab to see what is taking place here. By default, Adobe saves 20 history states in order to save memory. If you would like to have more states saved, you can reset that number by going to Edit, Preferences, and then Performance. And right over here you can go ahead and hit change this to however many history states you'd like by clicking on the down pointing arrow. I have mine set at 50, and I do have a lot of memory on my computer, and I don't have any problem at 50 states. I'm using Creative Cloud 2015. I know the path is slightly different in CS6, so I'm sure it's going to be different in other programs as well, or other Photoshop versions as well. So just look for the history state. That's what you want to find in order to go ahead and change that. Photoshop Elements users, you can set your history states as I have just described, but you will not be offered the option through PSE of actually saving your steps, which is what I will cover in the rest of the tutorial. Before or immediately after opening a document, you need to set up Photoshop to record and save your working steps, and this is how to do that. I have already opened a document and started recording this because I wanted to have these layers and history states available to show to you. So I'm going to recreate this, but just know that I have actually already started it. Pretend I have just opened a blank document. I would then go to Edit, Preferences, and History Log, and I think this is actually where the difference is in the various versions of Photoshop. Once you click on the History Log, you can choose to save your log items either as a metadata file, a text file, or both. And I usually just select both. I have clicked on Choose right here, and I have chosen to save my text file on my desktop. It gives it the default name of Photoshop Edit Log, and I have added the -tutorial because I am using this log for this tutorial. You can rename it whatever you like. Down in the Edit Log items, you have several options. You can have Detailed, Concise, and Sessions Only. Sessions Only will record just the basic session information, such as when you opened and closed a file. Concise will give you more information on what actions you take, but Detailed will give you the most data, such as when you open and close files, as well as the dates and the times of all the actions that you use. And so I always choose that. A text file doesn't take up much room, and I think it's just easier to have everything that I might potentially need in the future. So now you are just ready to go ahead and work on your document, and you can see I have already done this, and so all of these actions have already been recorded on my document, on the text document and on the metadata. let me go back for just a minute. To open to read the file, if you have saved it as metadata, you will be able to read that in Adobe Bridge. Or if you want to use it to read it in Photoshop, you would go up to File and File Information, and then is located under this Photoshop right here. And this is all of the information for this layout that I have already been working on. So you can see I opened a new document, I dragged some elements over, and it goes all the way through and tells you just everything that I have done here. And if I had saved it in a text file, which I did also, I would just go to my desktop, find that text file, double click on it to open it, and it would open up in whatever text file program I have on my computer, which for me is Notepad, and I'm sure that most people have that. The Mac text Notepad, which I would call a Notepad, I think it's called Text Edit. So one of the really cool things about this is I can go ahead and close this and reopen it, and Adobe will find that text document and start recording again what I am doing in the second session. So once I've started creating that document, I don't need to create it again. Adobe will just update it for me. Let's take a real quick look at the text document, and I think I can find it here on my messy desktop. And somebody that's watching this is probably saying, I see it, and I don't see it at the moment, so this is not good. Anybody see it? It's a text document. Here it is, way up at the top of my screen. That's why I didn't see it. So here it is, Photoshop Edit Log Tutorial. I'm going to double click on that. And it opened on my other screen, so let me drag it over here. And you can see that in this text document, these are all the actions that I took, and it's just the same as the metadata that we saw before. And that's all there is to it. It's just a really good way to keep track of what we're doing, so that if we do something and we don't remember exactly how to do it, we can go back and find that those instructions again. So I hope you found this useful, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for coming by.